Coaching Soccer Weekly, episode 334. The Ice Warrior Game. Entertaining, educational, and inspiring soccer content to help make you a more effective coach, player, or soccer parent. Hello, and welcome back to Coaching Soccer Weekly, presented by World Class Coaching. My name is Sega Verbinovich, and this is the podcast devoted to bringing you cutting-edge methods, techniques, and tactics for coaching soccer. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced coach who has been training teams for many years, or if you're new to coaching and working with a team for the very first time. There's something we can all do to take our coaching to the next level. Welcome back to the show. Today's episode is sponsored by Veo. Veo is a camera that is much more than a camera. It is a camera that I use to not only analyze my team's games, but run a meeting with them every Monday night and review the games of the weekend. But it's also really great marketing tools for clubs and academies. It creates highlights for you, the coach or the administrator, and you can upload those highlights. I like to upload it to Canva and make a nice little reel and then post it on Instagram. And it makes it all really, really easy to show off how amazing your team is and how amazing your coaches are and your club and academy. So if you're looking for a Veo camera, they have the new camera out now. You can use our Coaching Soccer Weekly discount, which is CSW 100. So thanks to Veo for sponsoring the show this week. This weekend there were no games because it is the amazing long weekend here in Canada, and I woke up Saturday morning feeling refreshed and ready, and there were no games. And I got to be honest, I just kind of missed it. I missed that Saturday routine of driving to the games and all that fun stuff that comes with my Saturdays. But it was also really nice to catch up on sleep. It's been a very hectic month, and it's going to be another hectic month with the camp going on and practices, and there's just a lot of soccer, which is great. You know, can't complain about that. But it was great to catch up on sleep, and also Monday, which is actually when I'm recording it this week, it was I didn't have camp, so another day off to just kind of recuperate and get ready for the upcoming week. This week, I had a lot of time to kind of think about things, and there was one thing in particular that has been bothering me for a while. And with the youngest kids, the way that we run our sessions is always the same. We do the dog game, stuck in the mud, shark attack, and then 1v1's. But it just seemed like there weren't enough games there. So we found, well, I found a new game that is the Ice Warrior game, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I just kind of wanted to catch you up on some things that we've been doing. Usually when I don't have games during a specific weekend, I'll just kind of go back to the basics for about those 2 weeks. And that's really what we've been doing. It started on Wednesday, and it started on Sunday, the day after the games of last week, which I already spoke about. But what I did was I went 4v4. So we took all of the players from our 2013, 14, and 12. They all practiced together. We have about 30 kids, and we divided them into a 4v4 tournament. It was exactly like our 1v1 tournament, but with 4v4. And what we're really trying to look at as coaches is who is ready to move up, who's exactly where they should be, who's maybe needs a little bit more help, and kind of move them down a little bit. So the 4v4 game, what it really is, it's a way that we like to introduce tactics for all of our players. So it's essentially a rondo, which is 4 players, a goalkeeper, 2 wingers, and a forward. And we're looking for the players to use those rondo concepts in that 4v4 game. So I was able to walk around and kind of see where we're at, where the new players are at, where the young 2014 players are at, 2013s and 12s, and just kind of see how everyone fits in. Because as I've mentioned before, the difference between our academy and a regular club is that every team and every age group is affiliated with the other one. Right? So there's no one team. That doesn't exist with us. We don't just have one team of players and they go off and do their own thing. No, no. In every single one of our age groups, there's at least two age groups practicing together. There's always at least two or three different age groups on a team. For example, with our 2013s, we have our 2014s that play in that team. We have a 2013s, obviously. And then in our training sessions, we have some 2015s that play with them as well. With our 2012s, we have players from 2014 all the way up to 2012 that have played for that team or that practice with those players. So it's just everyone kind of playing together and making sure that it's not really based on age group. It's based on your skill level and where you're at, and that really determines where you're going to play, essentially. And we usually divide our sessions into three groups, and that's kind of the beginners, the intermediates, and then the advanced in our academy. And then even before that, we have the introductory session, which is usually our 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, and then the very, very beginner players who are just not at the point where they're ready for the academy yet. And continuing with that trend, we also have been doing just a lot of 1v1's, but more importantly, what I've really started to work on is shooting. We've taken that interview with Andrew, and I've also, if you want to see exactly how I teach shooting, and I mean step by step, on my Instagram account, I do a private sessions on Tuesday nights with some of our players. So there was one session that I did with a player, and we really started from the very beginning of shooting, and you can see the evolution. So it's only a minute and a half long, but it has all the coaching points there. So if you're looking for that, it's Gladiator Soccer Academy on Instagram, I think. Let me check right now so we can do this live. Yep, Gladiator Soccer Academy, all one word, and it's one of the reels, I think. Yeah, it's the last one there. So if you're looking for that, it's up there. And yeah, that's kind of what we've been working on, shooting 1v1's, and then just really with the older ones, it's been a lot of 4v4 plus 3 or plus 4, depending on how many players we have. But with that middle session, lots of 1v1's, lots of shooting, just to kind of boost us up and get us ready for the end of the season, which is really just all of August and then half of September. And then we're done our outdoor season. So it's almost over. It just started, but it's almost over. The outdoor season here in Canada is very quick. And it's the same thing with school as well. So if you're attending a school in the fall season, which is where, I mean, I don't know what public schools do, but I know private schools because that's really where I've been working at. And I know specifically girls soccer. So because that's what I've been coaching. So their games they start in September, and by I think mid of October, they're done. So it's just a very quick turnaround. The longest season is the indoor season. The indoor season runs usually from October to about, I think, May, the beginning of May, maybe I'm wrong, but April, May, somewhere around there. But it's that long season, and it's essentially 2 seasons in one. And that's really where we're getting most of the training. For me, just kind of what I see the future of soccer in Canada, I think it's eventually just going to all move indoors. I mean, there's always probably going to be an outdoor season, but I just think that with the weather the way that it's been, I think a lot of clubs are going to start moving indoors for the full year. I know they do that in some of the warmer places in the U.S. I know that where I played in Kansas City Legends, they really train a lot of what they do indoors. That's not necessarily because of the heat or anything, but that's their philosophy. But I completely agree with it. And ideally, someday, I would love to move into a facility in Toronto and kind of just do that full year. I think that's a lot better. There are just times when, weather doesn't cooperate, or the field, or it seems like there's always something, especially with the way the fields have been treated this summer. We've just been playing on the worst fields, dirt, no grass, and just it's an experience. Don't get me wrong, and players should be ready to play in anything. But is it really a game of soccer if the ball comes to the player and right before it comes to them, it bounces over their foot? I don't know. Does that really test skill? I don't know. You can argue both ways, but for me, that's not really what we're trying to do here. We're really trying to, find a good rhythm and keep possession and do all those things that we practice. And it's hard to do that when the field doesn't really cooperate or the weather doesn't cooperate and it's too hot. And then instead of having two halves, you divide that into four and water breaks and this and that. So it's just, I kind of wish that everything was just indoors, but that presents a whole new issue for a different show. Anyway, let's move on. This week's episode is not going to be that long, hopefully. I did just want to get into the ice game, and that's pretty much it for this week. So let's get into the ice game. It's kind of interesting how I found it. So I'll go over it. Essentially, I started the way that I always do. I see the problem, and then I go on YouTube, and I look, and I do research. And the first place that I went to, and you can do this as well, it's called Young OT Mojo. I think I've spoken about them in the past. They have playlists. They have specifically Barcelona do like youth training, and they have videos, great videos of all these different activities that they do. And I went in, looked at the Barcelona. That's not really what I was looking for. I was really looking for like U6 type of games. And then they had a different playlist for that. So went in, and then I found a game called Hospital Tag. I'll explain Hospital Tag, and then I'll tell you why I changed it to what I did. But essentially, if you look up Young OT Mojo, and then you can scroll through their playlist. They have all these different sports, but it's really good, I found. So here we go. So Hospital Tag works like this. It's a game of tag with the players all having the ball. The coach is acting as a doctor. The space depends on, obviously, the number of players that you have. I just use the regular Shark Attack, which is usually for the older ones, 16 by 16. For the U6, it's 10 by 10 or 12 by 12. And I don't use yards. I don't use meter. I don't do any of that. I do steps. So everyone can take a step. Everyone can use that as a measurement. So 12 steps by 12 steps or 10 by 10. Depends on just kind of how I feel that day. But that's really the area that I work with my U6s. Very small, but I think it works great. So here's the way Hospital Tag works. Every single player has a ball they're dribbling around, and your job is to tag another player on their shoulder. Once you tag their shoulder, they're going to take their opposite arm, and they're going to put it on as if, and I'm going to quote the YouTube video, as if they got an owie. That's right, an owie. And then they do the same thing, and if someone taps you on the other shoulder, then you put your opposite hand on the other shoulder for another owie. And then if they tap you again on the back, then you have to go see the doctor because you are out. And then you go and see the doctor, and the doctor says, please do 5 step-overs. And you do 5 step-overs, and then you're back in the game and keep going. So when I first saw this game, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved the idea. Here's what I look for with U6s. They should be running the whole practice. Okay? The only time they are not running is for a water break. They should be always, always, always running. There's no lines. Absolutely not. Always running, always moving. There should be a ratio of 1 ball to 1 player for 90% of the session. And if you want less than that, then it should be 2 players to 1 ball ratio. That is the maximum. There is no other, in my opinion, correct thing to do with the U6s. So those are 2 of the most important things. And those 2, it had it in there. The next thing that I want is there a way that we can work in our feints, our moves that we work on with the players? If there is, that's my game. That's it. Those are really the three things. So love that, and that's why I kind of went with this game. What I didn't like about the game and why I changed it, and I'll talk about the changes, is young kids in general, when they fall down or when they get a little bit hurt, they start crying. And what I did not want, and I know I'm going to say this anyway. What I didn't want is I didn't want them to understand that it was okay to be hurt. That is just not what I wanted. The way that we play, as the players get older with their 1v1's, they fall, they slide, they get hit. They're in an environment where they're constantly being challenged physically. So to have a game where I'm telling them to, when you're hurt, grab it. When you're hurt, grab it. And then get off the field to go see a doctor. That's not the idea that I want to bring into a session. And I know that's overthinking, and I get that. But we have to keep consistency throughout the academy. And this is the difference when you have a philosophy for the academy and you have the idea of what you want and where you want your players to go. We want our players to be brave, creative, leaders. We just want them to battle. So I love the idea of the game. I just didn't love those aspects of it. So I was sitting in the car with my other coach, and I sent him the video, and we just started talking. And again, this is the exact same thing as I spoke about last week when you get a new move. It's great to just talk to someone that you trust, someone that you value their opinion, and someone who kind of go back and forth. So he had some ideas, I had some ideas, and then I turned the music on and just kind of sat with it for the rest of it. Now, fun fact about me, I've been listening to a bunch of audiobooks very recently. I got Audible, and I listen to books on my drives all the time. And the books that I like are fantasy. So it's a lot of like vampires, witches, werewolves, that kind of stuff. And I don't know how this just got into my head, but when someone touched someone else's shoulder, I just kind of had this image of freezing. And what would I do if I was like a warrior? And it was because I guess I've been, the book that I'm currently reading right now is about this woman who is a mage and has powers and can do all these amazing things. So I just kind of, it just worked out. And I just kind of pictured a touch on the shoulder and then just freezing the person's arm, right? And what do you do if something's frozen? First thing you should do is put your arm on it so it doesn't fall off, right? If someone else does it to the other arm, exactly the same thing. So that's kind of how the Ice Warrior game came together. And then how do you get the ice to come off? Well, you need a wizard to, make a magical spell and to unfreeze the players. So that got in my head, and then again I had that epiphany moment. So spoke to the other coach, and we came up with a really good storyline, because with U6 everything is a story. Every little game that we play, the dog game, shark attack, stuck in the mud, we want to get their creative juices flowing. We just want them to love and smile and laugh and just have fun. And the best way to do that, stories. So he started, he spoke about North Pole. And I was like, great, let's do North Pole. So here's the way the Ice Warrior game works, now that you kind of have a little bit of a backstory for everything. All the players are going to be inside the 12x12 or 10x10 steps area. You as the coach are going to start by saying, we are all going to be in the North Pole. It is freezing in the North Pole. So you are now all Ice Warriors. As an Ice Warrior, you have powers. Your arms can now turn everything they touch into ice. And in order to win this game, what you have to do is you have to go around and tag the other Ice Warriors. And if you touch the other Ice Warrior in the shoulder, their shoulder is frozen. And they have to cover it with their other arm because it's freezing and it's cold and you don't want it to fall off. And then you got to do the same thing on their other arm. At this point, the players are going to have both arms on each other, kind of like they're giving themselves a hug. And then they're going to have to dribble the ball in that situation, which really tests their balance as well. If you get tagged one more time on your back, you are frozen solid. And in order to get unfrozen, you have to come to one of the wizards. And I'm going to point to either myself or the other coach. And then now, once you see the wizard is going to give you a task. And once you perform that task, you can go back in the game. So that's kind of how this works. What I love most about this is that they come up to me and we go through a move together. A lot of the time when we do the dog game or stuff like that, we face away from our players. Why do we face away from our players? Because that's how they have to learn the move. They're copying you. If you do it towards them, then it's a lot tougher for them to copy you. Because all you want them to do is just copy the moves that you're doing. So a lot of the time, I can't really see what's going on. If you have two coaches, you have another coach walking around and they can see. But sometimes it's just you. So in this game, because I'm taking a player by player individually, I can give that specific player one of the moves. And depending on their skill level, that move changes. So for example, if it's a new player, we can just do sits. Can you show me 5 sits? If it's a player that's been with us for a long time, right, one of our 6-year-olds, then I'll say, can you show me 5 Maradona turns? Can you show me a fake shot? Can you show me step overs? Okay, so we ask them to do that, and then we can watch and help them. So that's really what I love most about this game. The ability to correct any of the issues that the players have. Now, much like everything else, I'm not even close to perfecting this game. And I know that the more we do the game, the more we're going to see, the more coaching points that we're going to find out about the game. Right now, I don't really have any yet, but that's okay. I found a game that works with my philosophy, with the way that our academy wants our players to progress. So now the next step is do it over and over and over and over and over again and see what works, see what doesn't work, and then start to change it. Start to figure out, okay, well, you know, maybe the way that I'm asking them to tap in the back, maybe a child ends up pushing another one, and that happens 3-4 times, right? Child falls down, cries. Then I know that that's not okay, and then we change it. So then maybe we just do 2 taps on the shoulder. So there are so many little things like that. Then we can start to look at how are the players dribbling, right? What's the object of the game from a soccer point of view? Right now, the object is they're dribbling, they're having fun, they're coming off, and they're doing a move. That's what they're getting out of it. But obviously, as we do it more and more and more, it's going to be about space, right? If you get close to a player, they're going to tag you. So you got to find open space, right? Stuff like that is just now stuff that I'm able to see. But the more you run it, you can stop focusing on the rules. You can stop focusing on the things that don't really matter as much as the actual soccer part of the game. And that's really where we're going. And yeah, so really excited. And obviously, just like with shooting, I'll keep sharing with you guys any new coaching points that we have. Thanks for listening to another episode of Coaching Soccer Weekly. I'm really excited about this weekend because I will be able to watch all of our teams play. That's something very rare for me. We are playing 3 home games back-to-back, and our last game is a little later on in the afternoon. I think it's at like 4 something. So really excited to be able to watch all the games, and hopefully I'll be able to record all the games too and analyze them. That's really what I'll be looking forward to this weekend, this coming up weekend. I really hope you like the game. I urge you to go to Young OT Mojo, look up their Barcelona stuff. They have playlists for soccer on all different age groups. Really great. And yeah, hopefully you'll find value in that. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so through Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff, YouTube. Gladiator Soccer Academy is my handle on most things. But until next week, enjoy the journey, enjoy the moments, but most importantly, enjoy the game.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end, and you can check out more of our videos right here. And if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and the subscribe button.